Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to a special presentation tonight. I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to be able to get in because we're going live with this thing. And some of you grads, I'll let a few of you guys know ahead of time that this was coming. A lot of you are getting a random email from me right now of just saying, hey, I'm going live. I'd like to invite you in here. And so just as you are making it in the room, make sure that you say hello to us. Jump in and let us know that you're here. Post a hello. Tell us where you're from. Those kinds of things. Obviously, tonight is not a Mentor Monday. You guys usually see me on this channel through Mentor Monday. Let me say hello to a few people who are saying hi to me. There's Robbie. Hey, Robbie. And there's Diane from South Carolina. Who else do I want to say hello to? Shane joining from North Carolina. Bart joining from Colorado. Robbie's joining us from San Diego. Bart's in Centennial, Colorado. Joan's joining us from Bakersfield. Awesome. Hey, Michelle. How's it going, Michelle? Awesome. So as people are making it into the room, let me say hello to a few more people. There's Kareen joining us from Arizona. Welcome, Kareen. All right. And just as you guys are coming in, all I'm doing, I try to acknowledge everyone as they're getting in, but I want to give it at least just like a few more seconds. I'm sorry that I turned on the camera a little bit late because you guys were kind of like waiting when you guys saw that little thing went off that I was going live. So I'm giving everybody just like a minute or two just to be able to get in. And again, if you would, just as you're making it in, you can say hello to us, and you can also comment. I want to welcome your comments, and I want to welcome your thoughts as we're doing this thing. Awesome. All right. And there's, who is that? Brenda Canada from Virginia, Lisa from Texas. Welcome. Bill in Tulsa. Welcome, Bill. Awesome. Let me see if I want to make sure that we have everything. I just remembered one thing that I did not bring over here, and I'm going to try my best to like get it over here really quickly. Let me look on the app over here just to see what I have in here. If we've got everything, do we have everything? And I don't have everything. I think it's actually over here. Let me see if it's here. And if it is, then we are in business. But if it's not, then we're not good. Let's see. Hey, who's that? That is Greg from Alabama. Dan from Minneapolis. Welcome. We also need to say hello to Brenda's actually joining us from Virginia. Lisa in Texas. Okay, awesome. All right. Why are we all here? And what is Paul doing here on a Tuesday night? I don't usually go live on Tuesday nights or any of those other things. And it's because I got this really weird email. I think it was on Friday or whatever. So I get this weird email from a media outlet. I don't want to glorify this media outlet, just because I'm not trying to give people credit. I'm going to leave them nameless, and partly because I honor people and I want us to be really honoring on this time together. But it was something that was emailed to me from a media outlet outside the United States. And I'm going to share that email with you. Again, I'm going to leave names out of it and their email addresses because, again, I honor people and I don't want to put those things on there. And I thought through it over the weekend in terms of how I wanted to address this matter. Now, basically, what the email reads, and I'm going to show it to you right here. The email actually reads this. This message is for Paul Dabdoo. We're preparing a report on life coaching, including the lack of regulations in the industry. And as part of our story, we assign journalists to wear hidden cameras and document sessions with life coaches, including one that appeared to be certified by Life Coach Training Institute. This life coach, who has the Life Coach Certification Course Certificate from the Life Coach Training Institute, claimed to be able to help with substance abuse, anxiety, and depression through tools such as crystals and tarot cards, among other things. In addition to this, we wanted to see what it would take to get the Life Coach Certification Course Certificate. In roughly 1 hour, multiple journalists were able to obtain Life Coach Certification Course Certificate from the Life Coach Training Institute by skipping the course material and completing the online multiple choice exam. Even though the course certificate says it took 30 hours to complete, this may be appearing in our programming. Blank is committed to fairness in its journalism, and we would like to include your perspective on this. If you would like to share a statement with us, please do so no later than Thursday, Friday, 10th at 5 p.m. So we're a little bit ahead of that curve. And so here's the thing: when this thing came up, everybody that I've talked to who knows me, their first response has been to laugh out loud, like genuinely laugh out loud. And you guys can laugh out loud on the comments unless you're frustrated with it first, and you can talk about that. But if you want to laugh out loud altogether, we can do that. Oh, this is craziness. This morning, I was walking with one of our coaches, because we have coaches in our local area as well that have gone through our program. And he happened to call me up this morning, not knowing anything. And we went on a walk. We're just talking about where he was in his life and different things. And we're walking on the boardwalk over here by the beach. And as we were walking, he's like, "Hey, what's new in your life?" And I told him about this. And he was just like, and he's stunned because he went through our certification program a few years ago. And he's just kind of like, "What?" And, and his first response against is laughing. And then the second response is, "Man, this isn't fair. And this isn't okay." That's his second response. Talked to some of my advisors, also some of the people that I've been around in this coaching industry for many years. And many of them have seen the kinds of work that we do, the stuff that we put together for coaches and all those other things, long-term relationships, of more like 12, 15 years, these kinds of things. One of them that I spoke to today, or two of them actually spoke to today. And I was like, "Hey, here's the way I want to deal with this, because when this stuff happens, let me say this, when this stuff happens, and it will happen to you in your life, some point, somebody's going to try to confront your integrity, your character, and everything else. Here's the way that I understand the honor works. Honor works like this. I don't think that this was very honoring to try to, when we've put so many years into what we're doing, to be like, "You have a deadline to give me a statement." I'm not just giving you an email statement. You know why? Because we're not just some website that gives away life coach certification certificates. We're not. I am on here all the time, very easily found. I'm always connecting with our students. And I'm sure that many of you who are on here even right now, you've probably had a conversation with me or interacted with me virtually in some kind of way, or you've been in our program and you've seen my face and we've connected in some kind of a way. We're very connected in this community of coaches. I love you guys. I pray for you guys. I look for strategies. I ask the question every day: how can I serve you the best that I possibly can? That genuinely is what our heart is. It's why we actually exist. It's why we started the program to begin with. And we've been in business for close to 10 years now, doing this very thing, pioneering in online education. I came from a background in higher education with pedagogy, helping faculty and staff at higher education institutions get online. I worked for 3 major universities and doing some of those things. And so when I became a coach, all of this stuff really made a lot of sense. We know how to teach people, we know how to do this, and can we make it possible for people who have a real dream? Because here's what's true about our students: about 85%, not everybody on here is a woman, I know that. 85% of our students, though, are women that are working full-time, ages 35, 45, 50 years old, and they're looking for a career change, or they're looking to add on coaching to what they're doing. And the sticking points are always, there's a few of them. One of them in particular is just time. They have the dream of actually helping people, because most of you are lifetime helpers. And what we've done with our program is that we took that excuse out of the way, took that out of the equation to make it within the realm for you to be able to get trained online through any device, all of those kinds of things. And then there's also the price point kind of thing, because you know what? I know some coaches that have spent a lot of money on trying to get trained and certified. I was one of those people. And to do that, I was literally eating popcorn for two of my 3 meals out of the day. I have a crazy story about how I traveled all the way to the Bay Area, which was really far away from me, slept in an airport, walked 3 miles to where the training was. And I know this sounds like an exaggeration, and it's not. Walked 3 miles to where my training was happening. Spent the weekend there, got dropped off by students at a Roach Motel that you could hear the people right through the walls because they were like paper thin. And then after I got certified, then I was like, I have no clue on how to get clients. That was what my background was. Someone who was starting out with about a 400 credit score that had lost everything and trying to start up. This is where I came from. And I know some of you don't come from like, the bottom, like what felt like the bottom of the pit for me. But what we really wanted to do is to put the power in your hands and make this dream a reality. And that's something that we've been very proud of how we do it. And we've been committed to do it for a long time. Let me say hello to some people in really quickly. Brenda says, I think it's your competitors. Okay. Hey, there's Wayne from Vermont. Thank you. Let's see. Robbie says, this is ridiculous. Michelle says, this makes no sense at all. Somebody says, something doesn't seem right and is off. Brenda says, you're too good. It's jealousy from competition. Emma says, I think they got you mixed up with someone else. Well, we will see. Desiree from North Carolina. Hello. Jasmine from New Jersey. Robbie says, I worked my butt off to get the life coach credential. Oh, that's a good thing. Throw in on here. How many hours do you think that you guys are so far in, completing your training? I know a lot of you are in our Jumpstart program as well. How many hours do you think that you've put in to all of your training and getting your business up and going? I'd love for you to throw that in the comments because I think that that's really helpful. Because part of this thing and part of the reason why I wanted to make a statement is not just for the behalf of our school, but I think that this is very disingenuous to our students who have worked very, very hard to, we've worked hard to make this possible, but we do this together. And I'm not going to allow the people that I pour into to have their reputation tarnished because somebody out there possibly was doing something that didn't look like coaching. But we'll get to that in just a second. What happens if you ignore them? I don't think that we can, let's see. Bart says, I guess I miss seeing the 2-hour course on using tools such as crystals and tarot cards. Let's see. Haters going to hate. Maria from New York. Ferris, hey, how's it going? Awesome. Shane says he's about 60 hours into training. Got that? 60 hours. Maria says 2 years. Joan says, I had to study for hours along with 30 hours of boot camp and training before I could take my test. Since then, I put in another 30, 40 hours. So we're talking about 70, 80 hours of training for an individual there. Okay. So it's important. I just want to highlight people as they're commenting, but let me get to the statement. So Jenny, this is for you. I'm going to have 5 points of this statement. Now, if these 5 points don't make it into your broadcast, along with all the video and everything that we're doing, then your own reporting is really liable in this thing. And I will say this, and I'm not trying to be ugly and knock things, but I looked at the ratings for your company, and the approval rating from viewers that I saw on there was about 2 out of 5 based on your social media presence on Facebook. And that seems like there's an integrity hemorrhaging thing. So why I'm saying this on the front end is that if there's anything that you try to leave out of here or we come out of here misguided in any kind of way, it's all here live with a group of people watching, so that if anybody looks here, it's very clear what I'm saying on every point. And I'm going to deal with every point that you talked about in this as quickly as I can. But sometimes I have too many words and I talk too fast. So I'll try to slow it down and let's make this happen. Let's say this to start, though. What do Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins have in common? Here's what they have in common. They're both multimillionaires. They are not trained or certified as coaches, and they offer what we would call a coaching therapy hybrid. Matter of fact, Tony Robbins, if you want to know, and the thing is, I saw a Tony Robbins thing on your website. Can you believe that? Saw it on your website. So, but it's okay because media has loved both of them and have put them on news shows and a lot of different kinds of things. You can find them readily available. TED Talk has millions and millions of views. She right now has 1 million clients working with her. Tony Robbins only completed high school. Now, has he gotten any other kind of training? I'm sure he has. We don't know where it's at, but neither one are trained and certified as coaches. Matter of fact, professionally, Mel is an attorney. And matter of fact, all of the biggest multimillionaire coaches that I know, for the most part, with very, very few exceptions, are untrained and uncertified. Tony does train and certify people, even though he is not actually credentialed by anybody to do it. Now, why am I telling you this? Because you want to try to look for something. There's one more thing that these guys have in common that as well, is that they did not have your journalists going in with a secret camera trying to record them. And you probably would not have done that to them, to these people, because they are considered more elite in terms of coaches, and it would never have happened. And so here's the thing, is that if we're just picking on local coaches, we're looking for those kinds of things. Somebody who hasn't been in the business very long. I don't know what you found in there amongst all of the coaches. Maybe you found some good ones. I hope you did. But it's very, very possible. And I don't know how you think that people find coaches, but people do not find coaches from Google searches. People do not find coaches. I tell our coaches this all the time. Coaches are not found by just finding somebody on the internet and clicking a button and starting a relationship. It's a relational business. People choose as a result of trust and building rapport with someone. That opens the door to a coaching relationship. As a matter of fact, about 80 to 90% of it, somebody's already experienced something. They've demonstrated that they can help them in some kind of way, and it opens the door to a coaching relationship. That's why a coaching relationship makes sense. So what we have to understand then is that my first point that I'm making about this is that with these guys, what they do is that they blur the lines between coaching and therapy because of a lot of the things that they are doing, because they are not what I would call purist in terms of coaching. What they do is they do a blend of things, which is a process of psychology and advising and a lot of other things. Matter of fact, if you actually watch what they do in any video, none of us would call it coaching, even though they use the tag because it's trendy. A real estate coach is not a coach. They're a consultant. They tell people what to do. They tell them the steps that they want them to take or something like that. So if moving on, that's my first statement, is that you have to understand that we have a whole industry of people that are not, many of which are not trained and certified, and they have different ideas about coaching. Matter of fact, for some of these people, there are a lot of different kinds of programs that do not agree with the same kinds of things when it comes to coaching principles and things like that. But what happens is that when these guys do a hybrid of things, it tells other people they can just do a hybrid of things, because if they're doing it, then we can do it. And that's unfortunate. Here's what I will tell you about our student body here again. The people who are getting trained and certified through our program, you need to commend them, give them credit, because you do not have to be trained and certified to be a coach. Do we all know that? It's not illegal to put a coach tag on anything and go schlep it. You can go and do that. It is not legally necessary to be trained and certified as a coach. And yet the people who are here right now, even watching what we're doing, are going through that process and are submitting themselves to the process because they want the skills and they want to legitimize themselves. So let's commend that. And if somebody's gone through a program, if they've invested any amount of time and effort in something, as opposed to someone who just wakes up in the morning and says, well, today's a good day. I think I'm going to become a coach. Let's commend these people, because that's the honoring thing that people do. Number two is that what I want you to understand about who we are as a school is that we're actually life coaching traditionalists. We're actually part of the old guard. And our training is directly inspired by my personal coach trainer, who is Philip Sandall. And if you don't know who Philip Sandall is, then part of your research before you do this broadcast needs to be done, because Philip Sandall is one of the writers of this book, which is Coactive Coaching. This is what Stephen Covey calls is the Bible of coaching. We lost Philip just a couple of years ago from a long illness. But I remember when I was in the Bay Area and I got trained by him. And I remember I was just an up and coming coach during that time. And he and his CEO brought me to lunch. They bought me lunch and they asked me to go to work for their company. And I was floored by that. I didn't choose to do that because there were a lot of things that were already working in my practice during that time. And I was probably within 2 years of actually launching Life Coach Training Institute. If he was here today, I would have called him and he would have known who I was and he would have taken my call because he was an amazing juggernaut, a savant when it came to coaching. And so a lot of the principles and things that we do in our school was directly inspired by this man. I was also personally coached by a gentleman by the name of Kurt Leafsfield, who also left this earth a few years ago as well through Gallup University. He was actually the writer of all of their training and certification program. And this is the fortunate part of my life is I got to spend time be personally known and mentored by these great giants. But having said that, as a purist, there is a specific kind of thing that we have to understand when it comes to what pure life coaching is versus other kinds of things. And at LCTI, we are relentless in teaching that life coaching is not for people suffering from trauma, mental or emotional disorders, or disease, including depression and addiction. Life coaching is not a replacement for treatment, and life coaches are not trained to deal with these conditions and should steer clear of these matters entirely. There's a possibility for major liability for life coaches who blur the lines between life coaching and therapy. I know that we have the Tony Robbins and the Mel Robbins of the world that are modeling this kind of thing, but it puts a coach at risk for liability, but it also puts that individual at risk. Why? Because when it comes to these kinds of things, you actually need a professional to diagnose, which coaches do not do, and we do not treat, and it is not a replacement for treatment. Now, we've had this in all of our training, and rather than actually looking at the merits of our training, go to Module 1 that's in that training course that you guys hacked, and look at what I say. I had coaches even sending me screenshots out of that thing today saying, oh, well, here's literally the slide that says what coaching is not. And at the top of the list is counseling and therapy. But where else have we said that? And I'm going to give you links to all of these things, and I will make your research really easy when it comes to these things. But this is something that is written in the public domain. You can see that this is something that I've preached for a really long time now. How can we tell if someone needs counseling and not coaching? What are the things that I say in this? Don't get lured into counseling someone who seeks you out as a coach but presses you for advice. It's a slippery slope. Why is it a slippery slope? Well, there's a reason why. I'll underline it. Because coaches aren't trained as counselors, and it opens a can of worms. When a coach slips into territory that requires specialized training and licensing to evaluate and treat mental problems, disorders, etc., and gives advice in any capacity, the door is open for a lawsuit or something that harms that individual. Stick to coaching. Stick to healthy individuals, and you will keep yourself safe. What else do I say in here? I also say in here is that if a counselor or a therapist is working for someone, they might ask a coach to work alongside with them on one particular area. But I say this: steer clear of people with trauma, disorders, anxiety, addictions. Why? Because there's plenty of people that are good candidates for coaching. Seek those people out. What else do I say about this, though? I also give 11 quick clues on this post, and I say this relentlessly. This is not the only time. A fixation over a past event, conversations that sound more like venting anger, frustration, stress, or anxiety, suffering from depression. I say that specifically right here. That's more than just the blues. Suicidal thoughts, addiction, currently in an abusive relationship, stress, anxiety, or trauma with physical problems, victim mentality, powerlessness, vicious cycles, fears and phobias, patterns of bad lifestyle choices like binge drinking, that's excessive, and drinking that's excessive, losing jobs, all of these things. See, I don't know that I can be more clear, except that I am always relentlessly hitting and hammering this point all the time, pretty much everywhere that I go. And if you guys have heard me hammer that, I want you to put it in the comments right now. I'll highlight them in just a second. But what I am going to do for you, Jenny, to make your research easier, I'm going to send you all of these links where I've interviewed a person who's come from a counseling therapy background, how they've moved, what's the transition actually look like for someone like that. Some other things that I wrote: how to stop giving advice and be an amazing coach, how to get out of advising mode and stay in coaching mode, how to stop counseling and start coaching. All of these things that we're consistently speaking about. And I also have a training video. I would play it right now, but it would extend the video. I'm going to send you an actual training video that you have permission to use, because you do not have permission to use anything that's behind a login. That's all copyrighted material. We actually do have it officially copyrighted, so you have no permission to show any pictures or any of the content behind there. But I will send you a video that is about it's about 8 minutes long, and all it is me essentially saying what I am attesting to and saying even right now, which I'll finish right here. As I always say, if you feel you have the heart and passion to help hurting people, don't try backdooring into helping them by getting a life coaching credential. Do the hard work of 8 to 10 years of education and training and become a licensed professional. That's what I always say. Let me just catch up on what we're doing here really quick. Robbie says, I put in months. I can't even put into hours the amount of time that it took me to study this craft and develop my business. Life coach training is everlasting. You provide support regularly. Anytime I need information, you are there. Thank you. And Brenda graduated some time ago. As a matter of fact, I think, Brenda, you're outside the United States, aren't you? I don't want to say what country you are from, but you notice that I actually know these people because I interact. We're not just some website somewhere. The website's the vehicle for a relationship and actually training people. Francis says that I've put 40 hours in so far into my coaching training. Corrine says 40 to 50 hours. Shane says that's caddy. I wonder what did I do, Shane? I haven't heard somebody say caddy since I moved from the South years ago. Thank you for that. Let's see. Michelle says, OMG. I had to go through boot camps and trainings, and I'm pleased there's continued training. Continued training is why I remain. Michelle does have a background. I believe, Michelle, you have 25 years of private practice as a counselor and therapist. You can speak more about that, but I'm pretty sure that that's what your credentials are. If I remember. Robbie says, is there another way to kill small businesses in our state and country? Lucine says, the training took me a long time. Besides, the weekend training alone focuses a lot on the fundamentals, the differences, and what coaching really is versus therapy. Thank you. Let's see. Who else do I need to say hello to? Shane says, even my small business coach said that here in North Carolina. She gave me guidelines that mirrored what you said about the differences between therapy and coaching in your classes. Oslin says, I got certified in October, and I'm thankful for the wealth of information I've learned. I was lost on where to go and what to do in order to start life coach business. Thank you. Tara says, I started my modules in November and have literally been obsessed with the training, and all my free time, breaks at work and weekends are spent watching and reading the material and sharing what I'm learning with family. I've easily put in over 60 hours. Let's see. Let's see. I'm in the process of adding this on my website, which is a nonprofit. It is amazing training. I've attended LCTI boot camps, which is a series of your 2-hour classes Friday evening through Sunday afternoon, in addition to the multiple training calls Paul provides every week. Awesome. Shane says they're using him and others like Paul as scapegoats. You have been very clear that we're not counselors. Thank you for that. Let me see. Who else do I need to say? Let's see. Robbie says, I've been very careful in writing up my coaching agreement. I became a coach through LCTI. I have worked with clients dealing with ADHD or medical issues. I never diagnose or treat or advise, only go with what they know from their professionals. Coaches are safe, fraudsters are dangerous. We are not the same thing. Exactly. Point. You are so on point. I appreciate that so much. Shane says, I have multiple disclaimers in my agreement. And that's what Joan says as well. Joan says, you've told us we are coaches, not counselors, therapists, and we are to never diagnose anyone. Michelle says, disclaimers clearly on my website. Shane says, hell, I use the multiple examples you gave us for my disclaimers, which all include multiple disclaimers in them. Make sure to send them those examples when you send them out. Awesome. I will do that. Bill says, I remember you emphasizing these points very clearly and early in the training. Bart says, you're big on staying in your lane. Therapy isn't in our lane. You've made that abundantly clear in multiple live videos, and I've been internally impacted by this. This inquiry is a joke. Francis says, I got certified in life coaching and have kept to what you taught about the difference between coaching and therapy. Thank you for that. Gets a little bit crazy when there's so many comments. I'm doing my best. Michelle, thanks for the correction. 32 years in private practice as a counselor therapist. Shane says you were catty when you called them out for their viewer reviews. I know, but that matters, I think. So I just couldn't help it. It was just too easy. And forgive me, I try to be as honoring as I can, but I'm also human and dealing with frustration a little bit. Maria says that emails are helpful as well. Awesome. Cool. Well, listen, let's do this. Let's finish this up so that we can put this to rest. What else do we say? Number 3. Life coaching is for people who are in a high degree of wholeness in their lives. It is client-centered, which means that the client does all the heavy lifting. The client sets the goals, the client chooses their own plan of action, and the client chooses their own solution. Life coaches don't advise. We're not problem solvers, and we're not solution givers. We are co-equal partners in the relationship and act as an active listener with tools meant to help the client draw out and assess their own resources. Life coaches also use a common but proven set of tools like SMART to help clients set goals with milestones, and life coaches provide them accountability. Now, this is who we are in a nutshell. Listen, I don't expect you to understand what coaching is. I tell our coaches all the time, it's impossible to explain what coaching is. If coaches don't advise, if they don't treat things and everything exactly, what do? We actually help people draw out of their own resources, their own greatness. And we do that by asking questions and listening on an extraordinarily deep level. And they're things that take a lifetime to come into personal mastery to be able to actually do those things. Matter of fact, in a coaching conversation, this is what I always tell our coaches, is that it should start out at least 50-50 max on your part of talking. But what I always tell our coaches is that as you get better, and you're actually doing more work of listening, the conversation should actually be led by the client. And it should be about 70%, like 70-30. And so what we are doing, what we get paid for as a coach, is to actually create a structure where this person can actually get clarity. They can come into their own greatness. We believe that people don't need to be told what to do. Matter of fact, what counselors, now I'm generalizing here, okay, so don't get mad at me. What counselors, therapists, teachers, everything else, every helping profession, pastors, whatever you want to go down the line, even news media, you know what you guys all do? You all tell people what to think and you tell people what to do. And coaching doesn't actually do that. We're not advice givers because no one needs to be told. People think if I give you enough information, you will change your life. It's just not true. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Your wife doesn't want to be told what to do. Your husband doesn't want to be told what to do. In the heart of every person is a desire for autonomy, and there's greatness in people. What we have to do as coaches and this is what we do as life coaches, is that we listen to people really intently. We give them room and we give them space, and we ask brilliant questions. And as my mentor, Philip Sandahl, used to tell us, and for my coaches, you hear me say this, is that we hold up a mirror. What does a mirror do? A mirror doesn't reflect me. It reflects back to them, so that they have we only speak what they have shared with us, and we show them, and they can make distinctions. They can see where they're thinking in a limited kind of way. They can come up with their own solutions, because we believe people are whole enough. We work with people whole enough to come up with their own solutions. And what we do is we hold them accountable for those things that they say that they want in their life. The reality is that anybody hearing my voice right now knows that that everything that you've been doing in your life, someone probably held you to accountability about it. Your husband, your wife, your teacher, your boss. But most of us have not been held accountable for the dreams, the discontent that's in our heart because we want something different. Coaching holds us accountable for those kinds of things. That's what that relationship looks like. It's why it's a great thing that if you're wanting to get something accomplished in your life, set personal achievement goals, all of those things, life coaching is great for that. It is not for treating disorders. Now, here's the thing. This person who you guys are talking about in this thing, that if you went in and you got them on camera saying that life coaching deals with addiction and all of this other stuff, listen, that's problematic, because it's not what we teach, and it's not what it's designed to do. And they're putting themselves in the crosshairs of real pain for their life, and possibly putting other people in the line of fire as well. Anybody who's hearing me that's looking for help in your life, you don't seek out life coaches to deal with those kinds of things. Seek real professional help from people who actually are trained and have years and years experience of doing this. There's a reason why these things are treated as medical kinds of issues, and why insurance actually pays for them. Insurance doesn't pay for coaching. Why? Because we're not treating and diagnosing. That's not what we do. Matter of fact, most coaching conversations, if you heard them, you'll hear a lot of laughs. It's very enjoyable. It's really light. It actually brings people to life. But in many cases, you have to experience coaching before you actually get it. I remember I tell this story to our boot camp, but I had a weekend. One of the things that I do is I am a coach. I do team coaching. So I'll go in a corporate atmosphere and I will do team coaching. It's different than consulting, because you know what we do? We listen, we ask questions, and what happens is that we get the team to actually come up with the solutions, and they will own them. Why? Because they own what they want to do at a higher level, and they will follow through because it's actually within their ability to accomplish it. Now, remember, I was working with this team in Hollywood for not Hollywood, they weren't stars. It was a company in Hollywood. Worked with them for a few months. What happens is that new teammates kind of come and go. And there was one time there was this new team member who was there. And when I was working with the team, she's all frustrated and flustered. And she was like, "When are you going to give us the answer? So what's the answer?" And somebody else in the group looked at her and said, "Oh, he's the coach. He doesn't give answers. We're the people with the answers. That's what we're working on right now." So the team got it. That's the way that a coaching relationship actually works. And so this is why I know that we have people who have arguments for should there be some kind of regulation or whatever. But see, why life coaching is not regulated right now, why it hasn't been, is because its design is around helping people come to their own solutions, not dealing with their disorders and their brokenness. We don't try to work with people who are in their hurts and in woundedness. We're dealing with whole kinds of people. We're just adding an accountability measure to help them do that. And if coaches are staying in their lane, then everybody's actually safe, because we're not advising people to do things. That's why it's been unregulated up to this point. But let me move on to statement number 4, which is this. Most of our coaches have gone through our flagship live online coaching boot camp and Jumpstart, which totals hundreds of available training hours. You simply can't fake live training. This is what I'm addressing with your guys who went in there and they hacked the system, and then they got to and it's like, oh, people are cheating and going in and hijacking the system. Listen, most of our coaches actually go through our live program, so we know who they are. They see our faces, we hear their voices, all of those kinds of things. So you can't really fake live. They're also in our Jumpstart program. So we know what they are doing. Our Jumpstart program also includes live mentoring, where we answer questions. We help coaches develop their businesses. We even give critiques on anything that they submit to us, even recorded coaching calls. So we'll have coaches who will work with a client and they're like, hey, can you give me some feedback on that? And we'll actually listen to it, and we will go through all of the points. What could you have done better? What needs to change? Oh, you need to step out of advising over here, whatever. Or maybe you could have elaborated more here, listened a little bit better here. This is what we do as a school. We're not far removed. We're not hiding somewhere. We're actually engaged in the lives of people. And we're very invested in our coaches, because our tagline isn't just proficient coaches, thriving practices because it's a cool tagline. It's that we're actually invested. That when I know people by name, I know their wives' name. When I walk a boardwalk like I did today, when I got calls and I got emails from coaches who know us, who have been with us for a lot of times, and they're hurt by what you guys did and trying to malign us, that's because they didn't just go through and hack a course to get to the end. It's because they are real people who are trying to actually live into their purpose and into their destiny. Now, here's what I will say about the cheating kind of thing. And this is what I would say about the cheating. We'll absolutely own that journalists were able to cheat their way through the system to navigate to the exam. And here's what it should be understood, though. Really should be understood that we give accessibility a real priority. I know some of you don't think about that. You're thinking, well, they need to have these timings and they need to be able to stop people and everything else. We do have safeguards in place. They failed when your guys went through. We will own that. We blew it, and we have a fix that's actually going to be done before you guys actually air this special, whatever it is, 5 minutes, however long this thing is. But let me talk about people with disabilities for just a second, because it's not just an excuse. I want to actually, we need to have proof of things that we are talking about here. I'm more than happy to do that, but I also leave people's names out because I honor them. Here's a real email that we got, and this is when it started really settling in on us back in 2017. Paul, thank you for your clarification. Being blind and on a fixed income, I wanted to make sure my screen reader could navigate the training before spending money. Thanks again, Bob. And we're kind of like, well, yeah, I'm sure it'll work, you know? And you know what? He sends an email right after that, after he pays his money, and says this: I cannot get the Verify screen to work with my screen reader. I am not a robot. Please subscribe me. What is going on here? And so we had to fix that. We had to, as a school, think about what we were doing in the totality of everybody that's in there. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, how many people really have disabilities? And that's the problem with our thinking. If you know anybody, if you have anybody in relation, if you're in a relationship with anybody, I do have family that are wheelchair bound and have been their entire life. That is simply the problem. They're overlooked and we don't think about those things. Me coming from a higher education background before I started coaching, I thought about those kinds of things because we had to create systems that could work for everybody. Now, what we have done in our system is allow people the option of being able to do their training offline. We've got to offer those things. Now, is it required of us to be ADA compliant and all of those other things? We could legally probably wrangle and get around it. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this an opportunity. We have several coaches over the years that have been at a certain age. They couldn't see that well, or they were legally blind or completely blind. And this isn't just like this. We have some people who can't look at a screen. We have some people who need certain devices to be able to access. And so some of those things that you try to use as stop gaps as people are going through are actually designed for people who have full function in every kind of way. I'll give you another example of this because this was somebody who came through our boot camp program. And she says, I'm so satisfied with the training. It's wonderful and gives me so much power, and the tools and techniques, Paul, is great. My only issue is with the slides. I've said that I can read PDF, but it depends on the type of PDF. Do you have any text format or ideas of how I could convert it to a screen reader friendly way? Thank you for your help. And we're like, we have no idea. Like, how do we find a conversion tool so that we can actually make the stuff that we're utilizing so that you can actually access the thing? And let me sum everything up with the email that we ended up getting after, because this is kind of our case in point right here. She says, I just wanted to reach out to say a very big thanks for you for the certification course and the boot camp. You know, I've tried to save money for 3 years and no success. You've given me so many powerful techniques, tools, and self-confidence. You know, in my country, colleagues think about a blind person not being able to coach, but you've shown me I can do it. I had a client at school today and have just started to use your tools, and they were so helpful. I will stay connected with you. Take care, and hope we will meet soon in another opportunity, because these are the kinds of people that we're helping. They're not people trying to cheat their way through a system. And I believe that what we had here, and unfortunately, this is the way that some journalism looks and the way that you guys do things, is that your journalist example is that of the worst of intentions. And that's not representative of the students of our school. They are amazing individuals with real dreams that we have real relationships with, and they're known by name. We've never simply been a website offering certification. We're helping people live into their passion of helping people who in turn change the world. That is who we are. If any of this, and I know that it's been long, but you're doing research on this thing. So this actually gives you a lot of, and hopefully what I gave you will actually help you in doing your report, because we're not fly by night, and we actually do have a lot of value and ethic, and we think about things. And we also have a traditional backing for how we actually go about the medium of coaching. That is like, and I will say this about the person that you said was possibly doing something unethical. Let me show you this. It's actually in our terms of service, and it's just this right here. And you know what? No one's provided me a name or a certification number, because all of our students get a credential ID number. We can look them up very, very easily and very quickly. One of the things that we put in our terms of service is that all students and credential coaches recognize that their ethical behavior personally, professionally, as well as business practices should all be keeping in with high standards. If at any time it's determined that a student or a coach has acted in bad faith or has practiced beneath our standards, their earned credential can be terminated. That includes all behavior, including bullying, threats, and all forms of business malpractice. As a student, you are committing to maintaining these standards in order to maintain your relationship with the Institute. And so if on your video, you have them actually saying, I'm practicing as a life coach and it can cure these kinds of things, then we would see that as malpractice. Now, one thing that I will say, if they are saying life coaching is an add-on to these other kinds of services that I do, because we do have businesses that, you know, they do other kinds of things. Sometimes we have personal trainers who come and add in life coaching. The thing is, for us, we also have people who are religious that might pray with their clients. It's part of their value system or whatever. What I am going to say in that is that I can only speak to life coaching and what it does, because that's what I teach and that's the lane that we live in. So if somebody is speaking about life coaching, this is when this comes in. If somebody is saying something about some other kind of place where they got training in something else, in some kind of other license or skill or whatever, because there's a lot of people. We have a lot of naturopaths that actually work with us. We have a lot of doctors who come in and they add that on because they see that as a component for getting their clients healed or something like that, you know, like as a part of the whole spectrum of everything that they're adding. But they're not saying that coaching is healing people. They're just saying that it's a part of the whole package of what we're doing. I can't speak to what people are doing in the rest of their business, but I can speak to what we train in terms of life coaching and also what people do with it. And we will hold those people accountable if they are saying that life coaching treats mental illness, that it treats addiction or any of those other things, because we don't teach that. It doesn't do that. And it's dangerous. Let me just jump on here really quickly. Let's see. Let me just jump on. Robbie says, I can attest to who Paul is both personally and professionally. You won't find anyone who has more integrity, honesty, and good character. Singling Paul and LCTI was a waste of your time and finances, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Stop the yellow journalism. Okay. Let's see. Let me see what else is on here that we didn't get to. Teresa says life coaching and counseling is taught throughout your training materials, and very clear that life coaching is not the same as counseling, nor do we treat addictions or mental health issues. Thank you so much for that. Yolanda says, and it's an amazing school, always clear about what coaches are and aren't. I'm happy to have found the school and training. Paul's an amazing trainer. Thank you so much for that, Yolanda. Corrine says, I love LCTI because Paul has made it very clear in several areas that we as coaches are not therapists, counselors, or even mentors. We don't give advice or try to fix people. Thanks, Paul, for your integrity and transparency. Thank you for that. Let's see what else is on here. Yolanda says, also appreciate the options because I work full time. It would be difficult to step into the profession, which allows me to work at my own pace. Thank you for that. Robbie says, we're all held to the high standard that Paul has developed in the school as founder and instructor. Awesome. Very good. Awesome, everyone. Hey, so two quick things. If you want to throw any more comments, whoops, I'm on this camera. Let me go to this camera. If you guys want to throw any more comments in there, that's completely fine. If you want to email us, admin@ilifecoachtraining.com, what we will do is we'll forward these to Jenny. And let me say this just as a closing remark to Jenny and your news outlet. Listen, I hope the best for you in your life. I hope that what drives you, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, that what drives you in your heart is that you really want to seek justice for people. I have to think that that's really what is in the deepest part of your heart. I'm also going to try my best, even in this, and I'll say that I'm human, to give you the benefit of the doubt that you really were allowing us to get a fair hearing. It's just that there's a lot of cases it really doesn't look like that to people who are outside of your profession. And so one of my good friends is Dean Nelson. He actually founded the journalism program at a major university in San Diego. And we talked through a lot of these things and he's written a lot of great books. One of them is Talk to Me. I would highly recommend it to you and any even coach to read about how do you actually ask better questions, get more information, all of those other kinds of things. One of the things that I've learned about your profession is the standard in some of the ethics that you were always taught when you were in college and university and all of those things. And what I would say is, please take everything, the breadth of everything that we've talked about into consideration as you put this report together. This video is staying on because we're bold and I am very forthright and I'm not afraid to show up and speak to the world. But I will speak to the world, not in sound bites. I will speak to the world on the platform that I share with all of these amazing people around me who are in support, because I have to speak up, not just for me, not just for our brand. I have to speak up for the students who are here today because they're doing hard work. They're overcoming fear. They're overcoming setbacks. They're overcoming a lot. Like, you don't know the stories of the people that I know of what they're trying to overcome, some of their own fear, some of their own setbacks in life. We had a coach last year that launched a business that was simply for single dads. It was birthed out of the fact that he suddenly became a single dad because his wife had substance abuse issues for years and they couldn't get it resolved. And he tried his best to stay in. You know, what came out of that pain is something that was actually really beautiful. See, I know the stories behind these people. And a matter of fact, in most cases, that people don't become coaches because they're trying to cheat people. They become coaches because they were destined for it. Because in a lot of cases, what happened at some point in their life is that they were called out and they were marked, and it said, you're made for this. You're made for something more. Sometimes it's something difficult that we went through that all of a sudden we found our destiny. That's what's true for all of these people that I know that are actually on here today. I talk to them. I connect with them on a regular basis through our trainings and everything else, emails, all of those things. We're invested in them because they're real people trying to make a difference in the world. Don't speak against them, because when you do this report, if you do it in the way anything outside of what we do, I told you again, hey, I will own the fact that our safeguards didn't work. I also explain why the course was designed like it was, how most of our coaches are actually going through live training. I explained all those things, and that we have a fix in place. But please don't tarnish the image of these people who really are working very hard. Hey, if there's one bad apple in the bunch, I'm sure that we can say with every industry that we have ever been in, whether it be religious, whether it be educational, whether it be in media or anything else, we can find a bad apple if we actually look for it. I'm going to encourage you to look for the greatness that is actually in the coaching world. And because there's great people who are really adhering to a high moral standard, and they really are trying to help people, and they are helping people. Let me just give, I'm going to give the final words to the people in here. Bill says, thank you for this. Your challenge is serving as a great reminder for all of us. I remember being very impressed by your teaching on the difference between coaching and counseling, and it stuck with me. Paul, the coaches you built are behind you. Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate that. I appreciate that muscle too. Like that. Tara says, thank you for all the time you invest in this program to help us be the best life coaches we can be. Thank you. Yolanda says, yes, I agree. I feel like I found the place where I belong. Integrity matters at this school. Awesome. Just starting out on the journey, very excited to learn more about coaching. Robbie says, my husband and I are retired and wanted to help others see their dreams come true through coaching. It also gives us another income stream, and we have such a wonderful feeling when we can see people meet their goals. Thank you, Paul, for giving us this. Yolanda says, people were destined to be great. We are here not only to improve our lives, but those who don't even know they need us. Awesome. Bill says, Paul, you did a great job with this. Thank you. Hey, thank you for everybody. Even Jenny, thank you for the grace and mercy you'll extend me, because we work really, really hard. And I'm open. I'm always open to critiques. I really am. And I have advisors, and I have a lot of people, and our students are always telling us how we can do better. I would have liked that email to have suggested that in tone, rather than asking us to defend ourselves in that kind of way. So please know, again, I hold you guys. I hold you guys as my trainer and mentor taught us in coaching. And what I tell our coaches is that we give people unmerited positive regard. And unmerited positive regard is that we regard people positively without merit, and until they truly prove us wrong. We believe the best in people. I'm going to believe the best in you, Jenny, and I'm going to hope for the best as you put this report together. I do hope that your viewers get something amazing out of it. I hope you give us a chance to have some words in so that they can learn something about it, so that they also can keep themselves safe. And at the end of the day, I hope we want the right thing, which is for people to be best served and live transformed lives. All right. Thank you so much. Eric says, LCTI has very specific trainings for techniques, none of which include tarot cards and crystals. True journalism would meet with multiple certified experienced coaches from LCTI before. I appreciated all the ongoing trainings through the mentoring program. Awesome. Thank you. Bart says, That you are not hiding in the shadows of deception, as it sounds like their perception is, but addressing this head on with truth and dignity is a testament of your character. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul. You did an awesome job. Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, I've probably said more than I should have said. Oh, there's one more. Let me see what Karen said here. Karen says, I just wanted to say I also vouch for Paul and that he really does teach differences between coaching and counselors and educates us in the right way for coaching. Also, before I chose this program, I talked with others I found on the Life Coach website, and who also spoke up for Paul and his teachings. Thank you for that. Thanks for everything and stay blessed. Awesome. Christopher says, thanks. Chelsea says, we may be a smaller group, but we are powerful. I absolutely love how tight-knit Paul keeps us all together. And unlike bigger schools, I'm not a little fish in the pond. You're not. You don't even have to be a fish. All right, everybody. I appreciate your support as well. No, that means everything to me. I don't really expect much from, it's meaningful to me that you guys allow us to speak into your lives and allow us to be a part of your dreams. And that's very precious to me. And I never take it for granted. I do think of you guys often, really every day. And you guys keep me engaged in what you guys are doing, keeping me posted on what's going on in your life and things like that. A couple of coaches today, one that's just blowing it and knocking it out of the park right now, who now has children, has gotten their second house and was sharing their dream and of their new program that they're actually launching and some of these things. It's food to us. It's like literally our nourishment to get those stories and to hear those things from you. So please forever stay connected, stay engaged with us. Obviously, I'll be back on Monday. If you're with us this weekend for boot camp, I'll be live with you guys for a very long time this weekend doing a lot of those training. Joe says, I've been listening to Paul for years. Paul has consistently been of the utmost integrity. I will be joining his boot camp this year. Great work, sir. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Christopher says, the power of amazing mentors had the privilege of being coached by Thomas Leonard. Portable. No way, huh? That is cool. Yeah, Thomas Leonard really is a coaching founding father. Like Thomas Leonard really, like, that was very cool. I don't hear any new coaches talking about him. So that is very cool. Awesome. And Bill says, let us know what else we can do. Hey, feel free to send an email and we will put those things together and forward them on. So anyway, okay, I'm really going to go this time. This has been a long one. All right. Can't wait for boot camp. Awesome. Cool. All right. Hey, love you guys a bunch. Have a great night and take care.